The FM, here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart right now. It's just after 10 o'clock, and I have some guests in studio. I have Lauren Perez with the Texas City Marque Chamber of Commerce. I also have Ellie Hanley in studio. Lauren, how are you doing?
I am doing great, battling major allergies, but other than that, I'm good.
Yes. So allergy season is upon us, which is weird because it's overlapping with like COVID year and flu's coming on. So it's a great time to be alive. I'm thankful to be healthy and not really dealing with allergies today.
It's been hard trying not to cough or sneeze around people and then say, I promise I'm okay.
Yes.
Everything's good.
Yes. So, it's been an interesting year. Not only is it flu season and it's 2020, but a lot of organizations have struggled, or there's been some weird funding stuff due to everything, right? And that's especially hit nonprofits pretty hard. What have you seen, Lauren?
So that's 100%. Actually, I am a part of a couple nonprofit groups on social media, and the biggest struggle that I've heard with a lot of them are the changes in grant receiving. So a lot of sources for income as far as grants go have been cut or have actually just stopped for a while because a lot of those funds aren't available anymore because of the economic impact that COVID and everything else has had. I mean, 2020 in general has just been kind of a bummer every year.
It's a doozy, right?
Yeah, it is a doozy. And because of that, a lot of people have lost their usual grants or their writing grants several times a week or a month, just trying to fund their nonprofits. And nonprofits, while they do take donations from people and other companies and that kind of stuff, a lot of their funding, most of their funding usually comes from state grants. And with all of that being cut, a lot of them are struggling. And it's extremely sad to see because most nonprofits, especially all of the ones included in the Texas City Marque Chamber, they're essential. I mean, that's the only word that I can use for it is essential. So it's been really rough to see nonprofits go through this. So
we actually have a nonprofit organization in studio today. Who's here?
So we have KHEA Women's Center. They're actually located in Galveston, and they are an amazing, amazing, amazing nonprofit organization that helps women in the Galveston County area. And I know that a lot of things have, especially I know that Barry, a Turning Point's been on here, and now with KHEA Women's Center, a lot of people have been pushed to not able to cope with a lot of things that having to do with staying at home or losing their jobs and just being out of whack. And, coping mechanisms have gone from violence to, domestic violence to, substance abuse. So it's been pretty sad.
Yeah. So we have Ellie here in studio. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Thank you for joining us here today. So, what have you heard about KHEA Radio? Have you heard anything?
Sure. In fact, I ran into you guys at a public event one time, and we talked about coming on the show.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here today. So thank you, Lauren, for making this happen.
Yeah, of course.
So first thing about KHEA Women's Center. Y'all are located in Galveston. Who are y'all, and what do y'all do and offer?
Okay. So KHEA started about 36 years ago as a group of women from a faith community and a group of women in recovery who came together to create a safe space for women to get clean from drugs and alcohol. And over time, we've become a licensed, well-staffed, well-respected organization providing substance use disorder treatment for women over the age of 18 in coastal Texas.
Okay, so how long have you been involved with the organization? What's your official role?
I'm the executive director, and I've actually been with KHEA for nearly 21 years.
21 years. So the amount of people that have been impacted by y'all's organization throughout the years, if you had to guesstimate?
So I went back and added up our census for each year, and it's well over 4,000 women have come through our doors for treatment.
Wow.
And, through all different kinds of walks of life, I'm sure there's a lot of stories that probably mirror, but they're not exactly the same, or are they?
No, they're not the same, but we did post some of their stories on our website, so anybody who wanted to go take a look at that at www.adawomenscenter.org can see that. But a lot of women have the experience of dysfunctional or chaotic childhoods where sometime in late childhood they're exposed to drugs or alcohol. And since many of those children at that time don't have access to good health care, then they become adept at trying to balance out street pharmacy stuff to address some of the trauma in their lives. And so that would be one typical route that I would say women who find themselves in their mid-30s dealing with an active addiction wind up doing that because that's what they've had access to.
So like self-medicating?
So self-medicating. And I will tell you that last year, UTMB public health students, along with ADA, the Resource and Crisis Center, and Our Daily Bread, did a study of women in transitional programs. And the average age of first sexual assault for women in those 3 transitional programs was 11.6 years. So when you put some of those facts together, you see that it's not only understandable how women start to use substances to deal with the issues in their lives, it makes you understand why access to good health care is so important.
So Ada Women's Center, it's in Galveston, but do y'all only treat or mainly treat people from Galveston, or do people come from different places and all over?
So our population comes primarily from Galveston and Brazoria counties, although we have seen a huge influx of women from East Texas because there are no residential programs available to them in that area. And so that we are a provider of for whoever calls us.
So if somebody needs some help and they need resources or they need information, they give y'all a call and you'll be able to help them if y'all have space, or how does that work?
Yes, someone should call us at 409-763-5516, and extension 7 is my extension, and I would be very happy to talk to anyone who's interested in finding out about treatment resources.
So this is an interesting year, 2020. I don't think anybody, at least me, if y'all saw it, I wish y'all would have told me, but didn't know how things were going to go, and it's affected a lot of businesses, and things have changed, right? How has this affected you and y'all's ministry and what y'all do?
Personally, I will tell you that I am so tired of the word unprecedented. I really think that almost everything that's happened this year, we fall back on that word saying, well, that's unprecedented. We've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's been a year of change and challenge. COVID certainly meant that we had to, in order to maintain social distancing, we reduced our census, which could be up to 14 women before COVID. We've dropped it back to 10.
Wow.
So that we can maintain adequate space. We've added all of the recommended practices that keep people safe, and in fact, I can tell you that we have not had an active case of COVID within the facility, with the exception of one staff member who got COVID, and she had a hard time making a good recovery, and she's working from home right now. So it's tough.
Yes.
So most especially, however, on top of all the COVID stuff, we're part of a network of treatment providers in Galveston and Brazoria counties that applied for state funding under the Gulf Coast Center. And that is a historical relationship that goes back at least 18 years. And this year, the state decided on their 5-year recompete on funding that the Gulf Coast Center could not apply for a contract to manage residential funds because they didn't have a residential license themselves.
So for the past 18 years, y'all have been getting a certain amount of funding from the state of Texas and things that they offer
to help fund treatment for people at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. And that was a mainstay of our budget. It was about, in fact, it was about half of our budget. And so this year, that money went someplace else. And even though Senator Taylor's office did their best, along with our local DA, Jack Rhodey and Jerry Yenny from Brazoria County, and several other legislators to point up the challenge that will present to providing treatment for people in this catchment area. The state was unmoved.
Did they give a reason?
Well, the reason was in the RFA, it said there were two conflicting paragraphs or two connected paragraphs. One said that to apply for funds, you had to have a license for the service you were providing. But in the paragraph before that, it said the state at its discretion can request information in order to qualify candidates. And without notice and without prior knowledge, the state made the decision to disqualify the Gulf Coast Center from receiving, well, even from having their application scored, because I got that information from the state, that they didn't even score the application after 18 years of a successful relationship. It's been very difficult for us.
Yes, and you mentioned that's about half of y'all's budget. Do you mind sharing how much money is that, the missing funding?
$300,000.
So y'all are down $300,000 off the bat.
Right.
With everything else that's going on.
Right.
So, I mean, what's the plan? Like, what's the step?
Well, we are looking to add a contract with Children's Protective Services. We have probation contracts, drug court contracts, and we've had some conversation with the new mental health court in Galveston County. We are looking at veteran services. We are developing additional funding streams. And certainly that was part of we had been members of the chamber before, but we decided that it was really to our advantage and a smart investment for us to go back to the chamber and say, can we rejoin the chamber and let the chamber members know how they can find treatment, especially for employees who may be struggling during this time, that we can provide services for small employers at a very reasonable cost.
I feel like the chamber is an advocate for nonprofits, for businesses. Lauren, is that accurate, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, the chamber as a whole, the purpose of a chamber of commerce is to advocate for our business members. And then on top of that, help economic growth and health of the communities that we support. And with members like Ada Women's Center and all the other nonprofits, we either host events to help bring eyes upon their organizations, whether, so a lot of larger businesses or even small to medium-sized businesses allocate funding for nonprofits. Sometimes they just don't know who's local, where to look, and sometimes those funds have to go specifically somewhere. And through the chamber, we can get that information out. And then on top of that, a lot of nonprofits thrive off of volunteers. So hosting events like volunteer expos and that kind of stuff are another great way to not only get eyes on the organizations, but a lot of funding and personal advocacy come from volunteers.
I would also say that the networking possibilities through the chamber are really terrific. That not only nonprofits need an opportunity to talk to each other, but we need to help small businesses understand what resources are available to them in their own backyard, and we can provide that kind of back and forth.
So with groups like Women in Business and Young Professionals and all that kind of stuff, there are networking opportunities for leaders in nonprofit organizations to meet each other. And then on Facebook, we also have a nonprofit council page where nonprofit members, and you don't have to be a chamber member, can join. And it's a great place to collaborate with other nonprofits locally, because a lot of people in this area and surrounding areas are going through the same thing.
Have y'all had the opportunity to talk to other nonprofit organizations, said, hey, we're going through this. Have y'all been through this? Or what have y'all done to get more information out? Or have y'all connected with anybody? Or
So yes, we have some nonprofits that work more directly with our clients. So we have a case manager on our staff who works with all of our discharged clients and clients who are preparing for discharge to look at what are the service needs that they may have to make a good transition back to their home lives. And so we have a kind of a working hand-in-hand relationship with several nonprofits that are on a service level, but then on a community planning level, more of the executive director level, people have an opportunity to talk about what are the challenges that we're facing in funding areas and service delivery areas, what changes do we see on the horizon. That sort of thing is very important to us, and we take every opportunity to have those kind of conversations.
So early,
We are small businesses.
Of course.
That's what we are at the root. And people have a thought that we're charitable organizations, which we are, but we are also small businesses. We have a payroll to meet, and we have employees to take care of as well.
yes. Before we started the stream today, we were talking about an event that's coming up in November where people can get involved and help you guys and help people in our community. What is it?
Why, thank you very much. We are having a Walk with Ada, Journey to Recovery, on November 14th. It's going to be a 1-mile walk on the seawall at 8:30 in the morning on that Saturday, where we are inviting people to set up Facebook fundraisers for us, to form a team, raise some money, do some crowdfunding for us, and we will have some exceptionally wonderful gifts to give people who raise money for us. May even be masks and T-shirts. Who knows? And what we are hoping to do is raise $30,000 through this event. We have a silent auction online that's going to go along with that. But it's also an opportunity for people to show up and to offer support for a necessary service within our community, and to say recovery matters, treatment works. These are the things that restore us to good health. And so I would invite people to look at our Facebook page. We are also listed on Eventbrite. So we have given you multiple opportunities to give us money.
Making it easy.
Yeah.
And that's it's funny because that is important to people. People want to give, but sometimes it's like, wait, I got to go drop off a check, or I got to mail a check. What's the address? But if you make it easy, I mean, that's what I've seen and the United Way just commented on here, and they were the first people that I saw use Eventbrite, and they kind of schooled us on that. But they said Ada Women's Center is one of our partner agencies. We love the work they do. And so I know the United Way over in Texas City, all the people, and we talked about Angelica Hanley with Ellie Hanley and how y'all had worked together and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's a small world, but I love seeing these organizations work together to try and do good in our community.
We know it takes more. It takes a village. It really is a take a village kind of a thing for, and I will paraphrase a story here about a woman whose life had spiraled out of control when she approached 50, and her husband had died, and she was by herself, and she met some new people who took her down a very dark place. And her sister suggested she come to Ada for treatment, and she did. And her life has just rebounded in a way that's pretty amazing. But one of the things she did, she spoke at a United Way lunch a couple of years ago, and she recognized that it took not only Ada, but the Resource and Crisis Center, and even the Red Cross, that she'd had a fire at one time, and that the Red Cross had stepped in to help her. And several other United Way agencies, the Family Service Center. And then while she was speaking, she realized even hospice had been helpful right at that time. Because she sobered up and got her life together, she was able to provide a home for her mother, who was in end-stage cancer, and hospice was helping her. So it was a recognition that we all work together to help people who are vulnerable and in need in our community. And the United Way was the focal point for that, in that because they provide funding for us as well, one of our former clients was willing to tell her story and show a spotlight on several different United Way agencies that restored her to health and productivity in our community.
I saw, I guess, some articles and news reports with this year, a lot of people quarantine or staying at home more. The kids were not at school, and some of them are still schooling at home, that a lot of the issues of abuse were going up, and they were more.
So, yes, we have heard that as well from people who want us to know that the stress has been incredible. There's economic stress, there's health stress. Am I going to get COVID? What's it going to be like if I have a co-occurring condition? And then the economic uncertainty of having been out of work and not knowing whether I can get another job. And frankly, many of the people who wind up in substance use disorder treatment at a program like ADA have not had the advantage of private health insurance, so their resources in that way are limited as well. So we see and hear from people who have, if they're in recovery, they've had relapse. And we also hear about people who had not previously had issues with substance use disorder who have turned to using substances to help cope with this. And they find that what they think is they're managing winds up managing them. And so they discover that they need help. And so we want people to know what that means and how to access that help.
Right now, it's 10:29 a.m. This is KHEARadio.com, 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart. My name is Gardy. I'm talking to Ellie Hanley with ADA, and I'm also talking to Lauren Perez with the Tech City Lamarque Chamber of Commerce. Lauren, so I guess the last time I saw you was at the legislative luncheon, and that was a really cool event. I thought it was a success. What would y'all say it was?
So we absolutely enjoy hosting our huge luncheons. We do the State of the Counties and Cities luncheon, State of the Education luncheon, and legislative luncheon's a big one too. So we invite state, and we have so many different representatives from state, city, all of that kind of stuff, to kind of give us a lowdown on what's happening in the government and laws that have been changing or laws that need to be approved and everything that affects us locally. And it was amazingly great. So usually we only take half of the Doyle Convention Center, but to practice safety standards, we completely took over the entire Doyle Center. Everybody was safely spaced, and we still had great attendance, and the speakers were phenomenal like always.
There was 4 chairs at this giant table.
Yep, 4 chairs at the giant table to make sure everybody was good.
What'd you think about those cookies? I'm trying to remember. I had posted a picture on social media.
They were pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. Yeah.
They were really good.
So I have to go against the grain here.
You don't like it?
I know I'm going to get persecuted. I am not a pumpkin person. So pumpkin spice.
That's odd. I saw you post something about a pumpkin on social media earlier.
I did. That was a satire music video.
Interesting. So I know there's a lot going on with the chamber. What else that was the legislative luncheon.
Yes.
What else do we have coming up?
Okay, let me look at my calendar. We are so excited to get everything back on the books and hosting new events and stuff, so it's super exciting. So tomorrow, actually, Houston Methodist is presenting how to stay active during your workday for our next Women in Business meeting.
That's cool.
So like I mentioned earlier, Women in Business is a great way to network, and it's a bunch of women who have these same intentions, the same mindset, and the same goals as far as their career goes. So tomorrow it is, especially with everybody still kind of working from home a lot, it's, you got to stay active, you got to stay motivated, and exercise really helps with motivation and boosting all those endorphins and everything. So we're super excited about that. UTMB MD Anderson Cancer Center in League City will be hosting a breast cancer awareness webinar, and that one's going to be October 20th. So that one's, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they are the most phenomenal cancer resource center. They're always voted number 1 in the U.S., so we're super excited to host that. We also have our Chamber U workshop coming in, so it's a digital marketing series. Our next one is October 21st, and that is LinkedIn 101 presented by Sandy Adams, who is actually one of the, I guess, not necessarily partners, but her and LinkedIn actually work together so that she can give these seminars on how to use LinkedIn. That's cool. And especially when you're connected with the Chamber of Commerce, LinkedIn is a huge way to network. LinkedIn's not just for job searching. It is for connecting with potential clients, potential donors, potential workmates, all that kind of stuff.
Are you on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn.
We need to connect.
We need to connect.
I'm on there, but seriously, it seems like such a chore to update it. And I hate talking about myself in that way.
Yeah.
It's weird, and I just would rather, like, can I get a third party to validate this? Because sometimes it feels like a resume. It's just like you have to brag on yourself. Like,
you do,
I do this,
and that's the whole thing. And I know Sandy will point it out, but I was told by somebody who, to me, is a pretty much professional at LinkedIn, it's not necessarily bragging about yourself. It's posting about the things you're proud of doing with your organization. I was like, that is a very spiffy way to look at it.
Manipulate it a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's, so stuff like that. And LinkedIn, especially, LinkedIn gives you credit when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's so funny. My daughter is 20 years old, and she said, hey, I friended you on LinkedIn. And I said, no, it is connecting.
We connected.
We connect
Let's
on
connect.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. But she's learning. She's in college. They're learning about the importance of LinkedIn also. So that's always fun.
So I did interview Sandy Adams probably like 3 years ago.
Okay.
One time, and we were talking about photography and other stuff. And so at KHEA on Instagram, which if you're not following KHEA on Instagram, please go follow KHEA on Instagram today. We post a lot of cool stuff that we don't post on Facebook.
Yes.
That's another thing. You post things on LinkedIn that you don't post on Instagram. Instagram, you don't post on Facebook.
Yep.
On YouTube, it's all different, right? So I think she moved.
So she is now working out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
So she does all of her stuff via Zoom because she still teaches classes at COM. So she's doing great. She's originally from Tennessee, and she's just phenomenal. So, yeah, she did literally just move.
She did, like maybe a month or two ago, because I saw she was moving maybe about a month ago. But that's the beauty of the internet, social media. You can still help people at the Texas Marque Chamber of Commerce while living out in Tennessee. So she's a great photographer, and I'll watch the tips because she'll do social media tips, and I'll watch them because I learn something every time.
She wears a lot of different hats. Photography is one of them, and she's amazing. But teaching about social media and branding and that kind of stuff she's amazing at that also. So we're excited to have her for LinkedIn 101, especially with our young professionals group that we have.
And when is that?
So that one's October 21st at 10 a.m. Okay. I'll make sure and send emails.
Yeah, because I'm on LinkedIn, but kind of like you,
we need to connect.
I don't really know what it means. And I get notices that say so-and-so read your blah, 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 and I think, okay.
Now what?
Also, LinkedIn will congratulate you. It's like, congratulations for being at your job for 5 years, 4 years. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Well,
I didn't even know.
And it also encourages other people to congratulate you or say happy birthday, and not so much in a social aspect, but to force them to connect with you.
Yeah.
So it's another form of politely networking. So it's really, really cool.
Hey, did the one with Jasmine go well? And can I access that?
Yes, I can send it to you.
Okay, great.
The one with Jasmine. So Jasmine Perla with Jasmine Perla Photography did one on Facebook and Instagram.
She's on a world tour right now.
And she is. She loves traveling, which is most of her photography. And since it was a smaller group, and we prefer kind of smaller groups for Chamber U, it was more personal, and we were able to speak with each company who attended on how they could utilize their Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was really cool. So, and then we also have for the end of this month, also on the 21st, our last of the 3-part series with Doreen Hughes for young professionals of the mainland. It's her 3-part leadership series. It has been super great listening to a lot of our young professionals be pushed and motivated and rethink about a lot of their journey when it comes to their careers and professional careers and even just life in general. So Doreen Hughes is an amazing John Maxwell leadership presenter. So we're excited about that too. So yeah, that's it for October.
It's coming up quick. It's about to be November. We're already about halfway through October. This year's been crazy fast, and it's been crazy.
I do want to give a shout out though to City of La Marque, because this Friday would have been the start of the barbecue cook-off for Bayou Fest, and then Bayou Fest would be this Saturday. So we are dearly, dearly missing it. We are completely bummed that we had to reschedule it.
And y'all were the sponsor or overseer of the cook-off, right? The
yes.
chamber?
So the chamber hosts the cook-off in partnership with the Galveston County Cook-Off Committee and all that other kind of stuff. So I'm definitely bummed because I used to get spoiled with tasting everybody's cook-off competition.
Yeah. What does that mean for the grand champion of the county? Because if we can't have the events.
So, the cook-offs were canceled. So, everything kind of went into effect in March, and we hold the committee holds a bunch of different cook-offs between March and October. So I am not sure. I haven't dove deep into that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sensitive subject. You know, when it comes to cookers, they are very, very emotionally, mentally, and physically attached to their cooking in competitions.
I'm that way with eating.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely unfortunate because a lot of people put a lot of time and money and blood and sweat into that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, that stinks for them. But
yeah.
you know what? Hey, we're going to get over this, and hopefully we can have it again next year.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to be looking
Charlie
forward to Bye
Pride, it is rescheduled for next year. I think third Saturday in October, and Charlie Pride is coming back. So that's a huge headliner.
That'll be good. So, you know, today we've been talking about Ada Women's Recovery Center in Galveston, Texas. And I definitely wanted to bring up November the 14th one more time. Ellie, could you share what's going on November the 14th in Galveston?
We are sponsoring something called A Walk with Ada, Journey to Recovery. It's a 1-mile walk on the seawall beginning at 8:30 on Saturday morning. For more information, you can find it on Facebook or Eventbrite. But we are asking people to set up Facebook fundraisers or donate directly through Eventbrite to help support the cost of treatment for women in Galveston County who come to Ada. It costs us about $200 a day to provide treatment for a woman coming in for substance use disorder treatment. And so we count on our community to help support the work that we do. And we want to thank you very much for 36 years of supporting the work that we do, and we invite you to come to this event or support us through crowdfunding and continue the work that we've done so well for so long.
You know, I haven't had the opportunity that early, 8:30, to go walk on the seawall, but I can only imagine that it's beautiful.
It is. It's, that's not long after sunrise, and it gives you the celebration of a new day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a perfect way of putting it. Definitely.
I had my friend come and pick me up from my house from work because my car actually got serviced, and I should have known this happens. It always does. Like, well, you'll get it today, and then they're like, yeah, no, well, you're not getting it today. You're gonna get it tomorrow. So he came and picked me up, which thank you for that, by the way. And he was like, man, the sunrise is beautiful. I was like, it does that every day. I was like, if you just woke up, you could experience that, but it has to be different in Galveston on the seawall with the sun coming up. I've seen the sunset as we've been filming out in Galveston, but I'm sure that's going to be awesome. So November 14th, it's a 1-mile walk, 8:30 in the morning. You can participate, have a fundraiser if you can't make it out there, or go walk and have a good time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Is there anything else you'd like to share today?
Well, a lot of people want to know have we seen any changes in the drugs of abuse? And almost half of our clients last year were methamphetamine users, which is a big change from when I started back 20-something years ago. It was more of a crack and alcohol mix. Those things are still obviously there, but methamphetamine is the scourge of our area, and we are seeing a rising number of people using prescription medications, including opioids. But we are still seeing a significant number of methamphetamine users.
Why? I mean, do y'all know why? Like, what's the switch? It's just easier to get, or
and price and availability and all those
bunch of different factors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there anything else, Lauren, you'd like to share today?
No. Just to hit on a point that was spoken about earlier, when a lot of people I've heard when it comes to donating and stuff, they're like, well, I can only choose one nonprofit, or, this nonprofit competes with the other one, or they start taking sides. But what was pointing out earlier is how a lot of nonprofits actually work together to support each other. Somebody may start off here, but then get referred to here and everybody has different resources, and all of our nonprofits work so well together. And that's the whole thing. They collaborate together and they support each other. And that's the whole point. So when it comes to, designating your funding, a lot of people either spread it or they choose a different one every year. And it's stuff like that.
If I could piggyback on what you're saying, of course, I would like the financial support for Ada, and that may be the cause that resonates with you. But I think there's another opportunity for people to look at the United Way. The mainland community's United Way is a clearinghouse for a whole array of programs. And when you support the United Way, you are supporting all of the work that gets done through the nonprofit community. Certainly, they're members of the United Way. But it's a way for you to take a look at 30 different agencies and know that your dollar is going to a good cause. I do
100%.
certainly want to speak for my organization. However, I am a strong believer in the United Way, and we are members of not only the Mainland United Way, but the Island United Way and Brazoria County. So no matter where you're living and listening to this, there is a way for you to support the fabric of the United Way system through the nonprofit system through the United Way.
Awesome. Thank you. Lauren, if somebody wants to join the chamber, they have a nonprofit and they want to get connected to you guys, what's the best way for them to do that?
So they can always call me at the office at 409-935-1408 and just ask for Lauren, or you can hit the membership option and that'll go straight to me. You can also text or call me. It's 832-902-3079. You can email me, Lauren at TexasCityChamber.com. That's LAUREN at TexasCityChamber.com. Or you can always stop by. We do require masks before you come in, and we have a huge jug of hand sanitizer. But other than that, I'm pretty much there on and off if I'm not visiting members. But yeah, anything like that, I love to meet. We can do Zoom meetings, and we can go over goals that you want for your organization or business and take it from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining today. I appreciate you guys. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. All right, social media. Hey,